you and the producers could sit around for like an hour and just drop Redskins references, talk about baseball.
What are the Redskins? I'm not sure what that is.
You said they're the team that's now called the Commanders. Like you guys. I'm just sitting
Don't
here.
try to, you know what? Don't try to spin this around on me, because I asked you what you're going to get my pug Mario for his birthday, which is next Saturday, December 21st, and you started looking at like Italian food toys just because he's an Italian American dog. That's racist.
No, it's not. I was like on Amazon and I was like, okay, I could get him like all these things. I could get him a pizza. They make dog cigarettes, which is also very odd. They make a giant thing of cheese. They make an Eggo, but I thought the cannoli was cute. They also
just because he's an Italian. Because
they also have a perfume bottle that says Coco Chanel, but it's spelled the way my Coco used to spell her name, and so now I'm really sad.
Oh boy.
See?
Do you think that so his birthday is December 21, the big man?
Okay.
Do I have to get him a birthday?
I think that's Ariel's mom's birthday.
Do I have to get him a birthday present and a Christmas present, or can we just get one present and be like, "You're good for the year, buddy"? I mean, what do I have to do?
I don't know how that works. I mean, as a Thanksgiving baby, I feel like I got a lot of double gifts, and that really sucked.
People don't give gifts on Thanksgiving, do they?
Yeah, but when it's your birthday, and then it's like, hey, family's in town for your birthday, but not Christmas, or vice versa. You just get one gift because they're exactly a month apart.
Okay, I'll get the dog 2 gifts. How did you do last week? I mean,
college football was really bad.
You know that it's kind of like at this point,
NFL was really good.
It's kind of like a bit I do where I talk about how I don't like the NFL. But I got to say, this is week 15, I think. I truly will be happier when NFL is over. I'm not enjoying it.
What about just the playoffs start? Like 3.5 weeks.
I just don't care. I don't care at all about it. I just other than the book's positions, I sincerely don't care at all about any of the results. And here's some stuff we needed on Sunday. We needed the Jets to beat Miami. And I don't know how they managed to not do that. And then we needed San Diego to beat the Chiefs.
That sucked. I was on San Diego Chargers.
On Monday night, we needed Dallas to at least cover the spread. And they couldn't do that. So even though we did really well in the afternoon I think it was the Rams beat the Bills. That was really good for us.
Yes.
And the Seahawks beat the Cardinals, I think. That was really good for us. So the afternoon games were really good. The other games, and it's just like frustrating, you know. It's like how could Dallas
not? It's not your money. Why do you care?
Because if you're constantly being scrutinized if you're not doing well. When you're winning, everybody leaves you alone. How could I possibly not care? How can I not care?
That's fair. You're right. When I'm winning, everybody leaves me alone. I hear nothing from them. When I'm losing, it is constant.
But what about this? When you work hard at something all the time like you do, and you're always working on something, you want it to be as successful as possible, right? You don't care about the bottom line of what you're working on. That's ridiculous.
That's fair.
Saturday was okay. Georgia was a really good result for us. So everybody talked themselves into Texas, and I understand why they did. And Texas certainly had every chance to win.
But
God, they did not. The night game not as good though. Everybody bet Oregon.
And they had 18 missed field goals. That was fun.
Oregon. I thought Oregon. I mean, we can talk about the college football playoff. I thought Oregon really has a beef, in my opinion, because they're the only team that went undefeated. They won the Big Ten, and they beat Ohio State. They beat Penn State. They are going to, in theory, if the favorites hold, they would play Ohio State in the quarterfinals. I mean, you can make a case that Penn State has a better draw than them. Because if they
have a better draw than they do.
I know. Well, they have to play an extra game. That's why it's somewhat up in the balance.
I'm beginning to think this 2-week layoff might actually not be to their betterment.
If they beat SMU, I'm talking about Penn State, they'll be playing Boise State, a game they'll obviously be favored in. And Oregon, Ohio State, I mean, you're talking about that's practically a pick'em game. You know, that game could go either way. We have up, I just pulled it up just so I could be factual. We have up Oregon -1 in a potential quarterfinal game against Ohio State.
So wait, can I bet
that's
that
your
now?
reward for being the 1 seed and going. Yeah, you can bet that right now. So that's your reward for going undefeated, for winning what I think was the second best conference in college football this season. Your reward is you're a 1-point favorite against a conference rival. How does that make sense?
I don't know. I think the committee got it right, though. I was correct in saying that Alabama should be left out.
I thought the committee got it right. They got it right with the teams that they got in. Yeah. They did not get it right with how they're seated. Not with how in the world does Boise State have a differently? Well, I think they've backed themselves into a corner with this conference champions get a bye thing.
Yeah.
Like why would Boise State get a bye? There's no way Boise State's one of the 4 best teams. Arizona State lost 2 games, but they got a bye over.
Well, they lost to a team named Cincinnati.
Well, whatever. They lost twice. Notre Dame went 11-1. They get their reward is they get Indiana, and then they didn't play anybody.
I don't think Notre Dame's.
That's just not wrong. Saying Notre Dame didn't play anybody is just not true. That's not right. I know everybody says just because you say something doesn't make it true.
No, but if you look at
Notre Dame played a few different. Notre Dame played some pretty tough teams. They also kicked everybody's ass. I mean, they blew everybody out. They also have 1 loss versus 2 losses. Well, they lost to Northern Illinois, yeah. But you can't sit there and say they didn't play anybody. That's not true. You're not actually looking at their schedule.
I think it depends on which rankings you use. But I mean, who's their best win? Army? A&M?
Well, they won at Texas A&M actually. But
yeah,
who had an easier schedule? Then who is good? Who do you want them to beat? Like the Ravens or the Lions? I mean, so the conversations are just so stupid. Like, what's considered a good win? Well, that's a fair point. But to say that at Texas A&M and College Station is not a good win is just ridiculous. I mean, I guess they got to just play at Georgia every week, huh?
No, I just think
what's Boise State's good win?
They don't have one.
Yeah,
they
right,
did.
exactly.
They played Oregon.
They lost at UNLV is a good win. That's their best win, and that's not as good as
they lost at Oregon. They're Boise State, and if they meet in the college football playoff, they're going to lose again.
Well, I hope so because we don't want Boise State to win the national championship.
I don't think you're going to have a problem.
Well, I've heard that before. I heard that about Arizona State in the Big 12. How we don't have anything to worry about. What are the we got to do this spiel every year. So we're going to give those sharp bowl stuff we've seen, but then we got to preface it by saying that all these lines move so much because of the transfer portal, because of the guys entering the draft.
Yeah.
The coaches. Yep. That's a good one. I'm a little skeptical that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are actually going to play in the Alamo Bowl.
Oh, you don't think they're going to? You think that they're going to opt out?
I think that's kind of crazy.
I kind of don't blame them. I wouldn't play in the Alamo.
Well, I don't know why would they play.
You're right.
I don't blame them either. So I can tell you that we saw really sharp accounts take Texas Tech against Arkansas. I saw them take Toledo against Pitt when that number's come down. And then yesterday they were betting. Is today Thursday? Yesterday they were betting Florida.
I love Florida. I gave it out yesterday.
I think Tulane. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Tulane's quarterback went into the transfer portal. Is that correct?
Prior to that, I was filming Bet on it before that news came out. I gave out Florida, and prior to that news, and the reason why I gave out Florida is because I just think that Billy Napier's got a good stronghold on this team. I think since moving to DJ Lagway, this offense is much better. Florida's just leaps and bounds more talented than Tulane. And so now it kind of sucks because it's like everybody that's going to watch the show is going to say, well, how'd you get that number? Well, it's because I bet it on Wednesday morning.
Why don't you tell us about the Kelly and Murray Splash Sports contests for the College Bowl season?
Why don't you tell us? Do you know about them?
No, I don't know anything about them. I couldn't. For me, I couldn't even tell you what it costs.
Oh, come on. You did a video with me.
What the format is.
You're ridiculous.
Actually, I did a video with I did a video with our social media guy, and he cut it up to make it look like we were talking to each other.
Yeah, not quite. So our good friend Sammy P, I did his show this morning, and he said he would not be participating in this because it's too hard. Okay, so let me just say this in one breath.
Why is it so hard?
Everybody complained that the other one was too easy. Now I made this one too hard. So for the first round of the playoffs, so $50,000 guaranteed. I think there's like a $30,000 overlay still. You have to sign up by the 20th of December, $100 an entry. I have 5 entries. The very first round, you have to pick 3 teams. Quarterfinals, you have to pick 2. Then you pick 1, and then you have a national champion. It's hard.
That's really hard. So I guess the question, so you've got 4 big favorites in the first round. So the question is, which one of the 4 favorites do you not use because you want to save them for later? I'm guessing most people will save Ohio State.
Correct.
Right.
So
or would you do this? Wait, would you do this? No, maybe this is what you have to do. I'm just thinking it through. Maybe what you got to do is save Penn State, because Penn State is going to be favored in the quarterfinals against Boise. So then you use Penn State in the next round. Maybe that's what you do.
So I mixed it up. I did a couple of outrights, right? I did Indiana to beat Notre Dame as one of the outrights. I did 1 Clemson, and then I did 1 SMU. And then I also saved, then I did a chalk. I did Texas, Notre Dame, Penn State. It's kind of tough, right? Like trying to guess, because I don't think Texas is going to be a national champion.
I think we can clip this after the game to make me look stupid. I like when we do that. I think it's funny. I don't see how Texas can lose to Clemson. That doesn't seem possible. How could they lose that game? That would be in Austin. That would be so bad. That would be such a bad loss.
It would be such a Texas move. Quinn Ewers right now, just so you know, there's a quarterback battle December 12th. Fans want them to go with Arch Manning. Quinn Ewers is saying he's coming back for another year.
They should go with Arch Manning. They'd be better off.
They should have gone with him after Quinn Ewers for his second interception versus Georgia.
I agree with that, but I looked at all the games, and when the numbers came out on last Sunday, my first thought was we're gonna have to have one of these favorites lose, or we're screwed, because everyone's just gonna moneyline parlay and tease all of them, and we're gonna end up with this big liability to Ohio State in the last game. So I'm looking at the games. I think Indiana could beat Notre Dame. I do think Indiana can win that game. I think SMU could beat Penn State, and I definitely think Tennessee can beat Ohio. Exactly. I wasn't going to say it, and I definitely think Tennessee could beat Ohio State. Even though I think Ohio State's the best team in that round, I think Tennessee's the best opponent in that round. So I think Tennessee could win. But I don't see how you could ever have Texas lose to Clemson. That would be so bad.
You haven't watched enough Texas football.
Obviously not. I know, but then I guess the counter argument to that would be Texas hasn't beat a good team all year.
Correct.
They played Georgia. Well, except for they won at A&M, but that's a good win. Like
they're not a good team.
They don't have a great win.
It's not a good. They're not. Just admit they're not a good team.
Our guy here, we got our producer. So our producer Louis went to the University of South Carolina, so he hates Clemson.
Oh,
and he's in there saying, "Neither has Clemson."
Oh, it's funny because now you do the show on a computer like a normal human being and not your phone. So now you realize that there's.
I know, but I try to ignore it. But Clemson beat SMU. I heard Clemson almost lost that game. I went to UFC 310 on Saturday night, and we needed Clemson, and I stopped paying attention because they had a big lead. Almost lost the game. So that's a good point though. Clemson beat. I guess all they did was beat SMU. That's their only good win. I don't know.
Yeah. So
I just think Louis is such a hater, man.
He is a hater. All right. So then the other one is a traditional bowl pick'em. it's got like a $15,000 overlay, $25,000 guaranteed, $50 buy-in, and you have to sign up by Saturday. So there's less than 48 hours. So I think there's going to be a huge overlay there. I have 2
Is there a bowl game? Is there bowls on Saturday?
Well, it starts with the FCS slate if you want to use them. No, that's not FCS.
The what slate?
South Alabama, Western Michigan. Does that sound right?
You know what? They shouldn't have. If I think there's one bowl game on Saturday, what they should have done is drop that game from the pool and given people more time to sign up. Who cares about that game?
Yeah, like I might ask. Let me ask about that. That's a great question.
Get rid of that game, and then give people. If you get rid of that game, you give people more time to sign up for the better games.
Oh, it's because you got to have 8. It's because the first round you got to have 8 in the warmups. You got to pick 8. Then you pick the first round of the playoffs. Then you pick the holiday slate. Then you pick the New Year's Eve and New Year's bowls. Then you have the quarterfinals. No, wait, that's the New Year's Eve bowls. Then the quarterfinals, then the New Year's bowls, then the semifinals, and the national champion. That's why.
I got it. I'm too dumb for that contest.
You're not. It's a lot of action. Just listen to me.
I'm not smart enough for that.
Yes, you're gonna join. Okay. It's gonna be fine. And
I have to join.
Splashsports.com/KellyInVegas. John Murray is a hell of a marketer here, trying to get us to get people to sign up for our bowl.
I think other people should do it. I don't think I'm smart enough to do it.
You'll be fine. Okay, that's all I got for Splash. What's going on at the Westgate? It's rodeo. Is the rodeo over now?
No, the rodeo was last weekend and it continues this weekend. I think the big thing here is we got our guys. Our guys got in the system now that allowing people to parlay select futures. So if you wanted to parlay, I don't know, the Denver Broncos to win the Super Bowl with Kansas State to win the college basketball championship, you could do that.
Why would I do that?
I thought you would do something like that. I asked, why would you do that? Those are your 2 favorite teams, aren't they?
Yeah, and you guys would have to pay me out like $1 million on $100. It's never gonna
even better. Even more reason to do it.
Never
even more reason to do it. So I asked Kelly. Kelly's very famous and she got this big following. So I asked her to. Although I don't think you hit it 70% lifetime, do you? Because I hear that's possible. Kelly's very famous. She has a big following.
I am not. Especially
I asked her to make a video where you talk about it. What's that?
Is that especially not this season?
Well, I wanted you to do a future pick. You gave me Ravens to win the Super Bowl, and what was the other side of it?
Got it right here on my Post-it note. I'm going to do a video right after this. Ravens plus 1,000, Florida plus 3,500.
Why do you describe your futures like that? Plus 1,000, 10-1.
I don't know.
10-1.
Because that's what it says. It says plus 1,000. And then it says Florida plus 3,500.
Yeah, that's what it says in the system. I understand, but that's not how a seasoned gambling person like you would never say plus 1,000. You say 10-1, 35-1. Right?
Maybe. Listen, fractions and I just don't get along as well. It's fine. I remember when I was in Kenny White's office years ago at Don Best, and he had a chart that showed you how to do it. The euro just fucks me up. Don't ask me to do the decimals. But yes, Florida 10-1, Florida 35-1, Ravens 10-1.
Florida, so it's the Ravens, Florida basketball pays 340-1. Is that correct? That's a lot. So it's just you're always trying to write more parlay business, and now you can parlay a guy to win the Masters to a team to win the World Series.
How many legs do you
from our perspective here, though? I guess you could do a 12-team, or we take 12-team parlays.
Wow. So you could just start out today and say, I'm going to do one for the Super Bowl, one for March Madness, one for the Masters, one for NBA, one for NHL, and then next year, national championship in college football.
Yeah. Once we get that up, we don't have that up yet, but yeah, you can do that.
You wouldn't have up, obviously, 2026. That's a good point.
We don't have the 20, but you're still right. You're right. You're right up until that point. So more parlays. You can also parlay a team to win the Champions League soccer.
Yes.
If you were so inclined. Do you want Do you have a bowl best bet already, or what are you doing?
I gave out Florida, which is too late.
That moved a lot.
It did. And I gave out
Did people complain about that?
Not yet, but they're gonna. I can promise you they're gonna be pissed. It's okay. It's documented on Picket Sports. But I also gave out the under in Texas Clemson. I do think that Texas defense, I don't think Clemson, I agree with you. I don't think Clemson's actually going to win the game. I did not take Clemson on the side. I only used them just to get a little spicy in these contests instead of just going straight chalk. But I do like this defense. And I think Clemson last week had to really step it up offensively to keep up with SMU. That's just not the case. Texas lets everybody hang around. Would any of us be shocked in the slightest to have this be a 14 final? No. Clemson covers by half.
Really good. Texas is really good defensively.
Yeah.
They're really good defensively. It's hard to picture Clemson doing a whole lot on offense.
I don't know. Cade looked really good against SMU. I'll leave that for what it is.
I was at the fights. I didn't see much of the Oregon game or the Clemson game. I watched the Georgia-Texas game in its entirety at work. And to be honest, I really enjoyed that game because the defensive players are so fast on both teams. It's almost like watching NFL defense, just the speed of the players. It was I thought, a very entertaining football game. But both teams' quarterbacks leave so much to be desired. Ewers, really, they should really bench him. I've never understood why people think Carson Beck is good. I don't know what I'm missing there. And then they brought in the other kid. He was okay. He could run a little bit, I guess. But Georgia, they've got a vulnerability at quarterback. They don't have a great quarterback, but they have so much speed on defense that I do think that they're fun to watch. And I do think that makes them still the best team just because they're so fast and so good defensively, good offensive line. They just have so much talent everywhere. The quarterback is a question mark. What about do you do a hottie threesome for the bowls? How does that work?
So I was debating on it. I've got a lot more bowl work to still do. That's been the hard part is do you spread it out over a couple of weeks? No, because with all of the information and like you just said, would I be surprised? Okay, let's just say hypothetically, I put out a 3-team money line parlay and then the opponent's quarterback, wide receiver, and coach are like, I'm out. And the line just goes completely the other way. Would you guys take it down at SuperBook or would you leave it up?
No, we probably have to take it down.
Underdog, and now they're a pick 'em. Because we've seen lines move 7 points in the bowls.
At some point, you've got to be cautious. That's why, this time of year, you got to be really careful with when you put out your parlay cards. Because you don't want people because the parlay cards have a stale number. Yeah. So you don't want to put your parlay cards out too early and have all these lines move by. Yeah, Kelly's right. I've seen lines move by more than 7 points. So you gotta be a little cautious here with something like that.
Then I would win or possibly win, right? And everybody else wouldn't be able to get it, and then they would just be pissed off. So it's like I've talked to our producer John.
Does it bother you?
Does what bother me?
Does it bother you when all these people on social media are criticizing? You're saying, "Oh, Kelly, your pick moved.
I think it bothers me that I try to be honest and I try to be transparent, and I get shit on for it when other people are blatantly not."
Yeah, who's blatantly not? What other people?
Have you been on gambling Twitter before? Everybody.
I've been on gambling Twitter. I on the the rankings of the things that I care about. Exactly. Gambling Twitter is so low. I couldn't possibly give a shit less.
I would agree. And 90% of the time I don't, which is why I like some of the tracking apps that help you become more transparent.
Let's do the NFL this week. Actually, it's a pretty good NFL week. The one thing I don't understand about your league, how could they possibly – they've got 2 marquee games in the afternoon. How are they not playing that Eagle game at 1 Eastern, 10 a.m.? You got Philadelphia, Pittsburgh is a really good game.
Yeah.
You've got Buffalo, Detroit, which is like a borderline great game. And they're playing them at the same time.
Do they ever? They don't ever flex to the 1 p.m. Eastern. They always flex up. They never flex down.
Dude, is that not legal? I don't. Yeah. I guess maybe. I'm sure they have, but they've flexed games out of Sunday Night Football into the early slate. When they move a game to Sunday night, they got to move somebody else out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
So two really good games on Sunday. The other thing I don't understand about the NFL schedule is there's only like 2 college games Saturday, Army, Navy, and then some bowl game. How are they not doing a primetime NFL game on Saturday? That's a missed opportunity. So why not?
When does that start? Saturday NFL starts what? 2 weeks?
The 21st. So on December 21st, there's 2 NFL games. There's also 3 college football playoff games that day. So that day is going to be massive. But how could they not have moved the game
to this? What they're thinking. That is, I think here's the problem is that the NFL thinks they're the best. So they're just going to do whatever they want and everybody else is supposed to move around them, right? Because you're absolutely right.
If that's their thought process, they're kind of right.
I agree.
Well, if that's their thought process, they're kind of right. Pretty much whatever they do, everybody just gives in and watches them. So, but I just think it's a missed opportunity. Saturday night around here is going to be very quiet with no football. And if you had Philadelphia, Pittsburgh on Saturday night, I mean, that would have been a huge game. That would have been huge. Or Buffalo, Detroit, whatever you want to use there. So, I think there's a miss there.
You guys have to get like a better liaison, like maybe like the sports book community as a whole to like be on like the board of scheduling for NFL and be like, hey, this would be really great for handle. You guys should put this game here.
That'd be a good job. I could do that job.
Yeah, you could.
I'd love to have one. I would love.
You would work for the NFL, or I guess would you work for the books?
Sure,
and you'd be like a liaison for the NFL. I don't know. All right.
I could be a liaison.
I'm just over here creating new jobs. See, look at me.
Sunday, I mentioned there's a few big games. We did see some really sharp money on the under Kansas City and Cleveland, under 43.5. This one makes sense to me, but I never get any NFL games right anymore. But I definitely understand why we saw sharp money come on the Buffalo Bills. Look at how banged up Detroit is defensively. They've got so many guys hurt on defense. Josh Allen is, easily the best QB in the league right this second. He is playing incredible football. And that Detroit defense, so banged up in the secondary, they bet Buffalo plus 2.5. I get it. Go ahead.
Do you think that it's weird at all that Bills just had a virtual practice today because of inclement weather? Like, do you think that hurts that team at all?
Is it like they practice on Microsoft Teams or something?
Like, I guess Zoom. They have a Zoom practice. I don't know. Like, you meet with your coach.
So they didn't do it.
Sure.
Is it like a Zoom meeting where everybody's cameras are off and they're just like sitting there watching TV in their underwear?
Probably.
Was it that kind of? Was that the?
I really don't know, but like I wonder, like this late in the season, surely one practice doesn't matter, but
I wouldn't think so. I think if anything, it might be good for the guys to get their bodies a little bit of rest. I mean,
hopefully they're sitting in the cold plunge while they're on their Zoom meeting.
Oh, and then they also played, and I like this one too, which is scary, but they also played Green Bay minus 2.5. They're at Seattle. That's the Sunday night game. So that's another really good game. And Seattle right now, after winning, they won both games against Arizona, and in the middle they win and they beat the Jets. They've got a stranglehold now in the NFC West, but Green Bay is just playing really well. Green Bay's offense is really good. So that's a pretty good game too. You've got 3 really good NFL games on Sunday. And like I said, I don't understand how you don't move one to Saturday. It would have been really good for business, but they didn't do it, Kelly. They screwed us. So Saturday, I think I'm going to leave work early and go watch the UFC fights, drink a few beers. Not? Are you going to the fights? They're in Florida.
They are in Florida. I am not going to the fights. I have to move my mom into her new house.
Okay. I think I'm going to get out with the boys on Saturday night. Have a few cold ones. Do you want to do the mailbag?
Feels a little early to do the mailbag. Feels like we're like really light light schedule this week. Do you have anything to report on Army Navy before I get into the mailbag?
That's a good question. No, as far as sharp money. I did look at that before the show started, but I'll do the other thing. All the nerds get all upset about the ticket splits. All like the dorks all like say that they're all a lie or whatever it is that they get themselves all worked up about. It's mostly Army. It's like 3-1 on Army.
All right,
3-1, and then they. You know what I will say this. They definitely they bet us under 40, moved us to 39. So that's always a cool.
Bet over 38. I like
that's high on my list of sporting events I'd like to go to. Is the Army Navy game?
I went 2 years ago, and they had overtime, and the game went over the total. It was fun. It was really cold. All right, let's go to the mailbag.
That looks really cool.
Wait, now we're way far behind. We were supposed to do Thursday night football so that our producers could clip it. Oh boy, John.
Shit, you're right.
We had this whole pre-production meeting for 20 minutes where we just sat around. You guys talked about Juan Soto, and now here we are. It's okay. I got Mario's birthday present ordered. It will be there before Christmas.
Was it an Italian themed thing?
Yes, of course. I told you I got him a cannoli squeaker toy.
I don't really
French, by the way, in case you wanted to know.
I don't have much on the Niner game, to be honest with you.
Okay. No worries. Nothing to report.
This is one of the most evenly bet. What's that?
I said you have nothing to report.
This is a very.
I just realized you've been on a delay this whole show.
I know. This is so fucking annoying, man. What was I saying?
You said this is the most evenly bet.
It's like, I'd say it's the most evenly bet Thursday night game I've seen all year. I mean, the tickets are almost exactly the same. And we did get to 3 for a little while. But we've mostly been at 2.5 the whole time. So there's not a whole lot of a decision on this game. There's so much money both ways.
Okay.
I don't like that. I like having a decision on Thursday nights. You always want to have a decision on Thursday night because you're usually in a position to win every Thursday because all the Thursday night game is starting your parlays for the week. So if, like, let's say you take all these bets on the Rams and they win, they're probably just going to the weekend, and then you scoop all the 49er money tonight. So your Thursday night, you pretty much always win. So I want to have a decision on Thursdays. I don't like not having a decision. I might have to go back into the risk room. I want to go rattle some cages in the risk room after this show because I want us to have a little bit of money on this game.
You got about 2 hours left. So what are you going to do? Drop it to what? You guys doing -10? What are you guys doing -105s on Thursday still?
Yeah, no, it's a good point by my lovely co-host. We do for Thursday nights. We have -105 juice. So in this case, it's actually 49ers -2.5 -116, Rams +2.5 +106. So you gotta look at it like a 10-cent split versus -105 because especially when the game's around 3, which is like 2.5, we'll probably be playing around with the juice a lot.
Okay. All right. Mailbag. Blair T. Miller on X says, what would the line be if Bama played SMU? Oh boy, you love these hypotheticals.
Oh, I do. It's so much fun. So what I guess Blair's agenda here is to say what? That SMU shouldn't be in, that Alabama should be in? Is that what it is? I mean, I don't even disagree.
I don't know what
I don't
Blair's
even have a
agenda
problem
is.
with it, but
I have no idea what his actual agenda is. I'm going to guess he's probably a Bama or SEC fan and wants to prove that the SEC should just get their own playoff. That's what I think he wants.
Well, Alabama would obviously be favored against SMU, right? So, of course. So, let's say I think to me, Alabama is probably at least close to Penn State in terms of their power ranking. I don't think they're a huge amount separating those two teams. Remember, Penn State is playing SMU in Happy Valley. So, I don't think that Alabama against SMU, I don't think they'd be that much of a favorite as Penn State is because that game is in Happy Valley. Let's say it would be on a neutral field, Alabama maybe like a touchdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say so like 7
Alabama, of course they'd be favored. Yes, to answer the question, yes, Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, they would all be favored against SMU. Obviously, right? We know that.
Yeah. All right. FFNG Sports on X says, is John ready to admit that the 2024 version of the SEC is fraudulent? Power rankings and CLV be damned.
Yeah, I don't understand the question because the SEC didn't even get the most teams into the playoff. The Big Ten did. The Big Ten got 4. The SEC only got 3.
Because the SEC is fraudulent.
So why are we? In what sense?
They're just not as good as they like to think that they are.
Well, I don't agree with that. I don't think the Big Ten should have more teams in than the SEC. There's no way that the SEC should only have one more team than the ACC. The ACC was terrible this season, the worst ACC I can ever remember. And the SEC only got one team more than them. If anything, I thought the brackets were a big win for the anti-SEC crowd because the SEC got really like the least amount of teams they could ever get. And the anti-SEC people should be happy instead of saying that they only got 3 teams in.
Listen,
I don't know. That's like the bear. That's like for a 12-team tournament, the SEC getting 3 is the bare minimum. You can't go lower than that. And they've got probably 4 or 5 teams, maybe not 5, on the outside of this tournament that would be favored against a lot of these teams. I'm just saying. So, no, I think the SEC got the least amount of teams they could. So I say congrats to the anti-SEC people.
Okay. So are you going to admit that they're fraudulent or?
Fraudulent in what sense? They've been given
question.
I don't understand. I guess I don't understand the question. So what proves that if Texas or Georgia wins the national championship, does that then mean that they were good? I don't really understand.
No, I don't think either one of them is going to win the national championship. Okay. Next question. Yeah. Two different people have a similar question, so I'm going to put them together. The Pint Glass Guy and Boise Wrigley want to know your thoughts about Rich Rod going back to West Virginia.
You know, I'm gonna catch heat from the WVU crowd because I always thought it was ridiculous that all the WVU fans hated Rich Rodriguez for leaving. He got the Michigan job. You know, I don't really understand Barry Odom, the UNLV coach, leaving to go to Purdue. No offense, Purdue, but Purdue's not a major program. I understand that the reasons are financial, but to me, I think of Purdue as a basketball school, to be honest with you. Whereas Rich Rodriguez got the Michigan job. Yes, let's face it, you're going to leave WVU if Michigan comes calling, if Alabama comes calling, if Texas comes calling. There are levels to college football. I don't understand why there's so many people that hated him so much for that. I don't blame him. I know he failed at Michigan, but I get it. I don't see how they could do worse than Neil Brown. Neil Brown
I want Neil Brown to be my new offensive coordinator.
Well, offensive coordinator is different. Neil Brown is so low energy. He did not really do a good job in Morgantown. I'm hopeful for the future.
Think about this though. What percentage of offensive or defensive coordinators are successful head coaches? 5%?
Yeah, no, it doesn't always translate. It doesn't always translate. And then there's also this that no one ever wants to address this. People get upset when I say this. A lot of the times the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator really weren't that good. They just had personnel. You know, I look at Brian Billick won a Super Bowl as the Ravens head coach with basically an all defensive team. He got that job because he was the offensive coordinator of Minnesota. Was he some brilliant offensive mind, or did he have Randall Cunningham, Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Robert Smith? Well, we all know it was the second one because when he got to the Ravens, he couldn't do anything offensively. So a lot of these guys, they only get their job because of their personnel, and that's why they fail as a head coach.
Touche. All right, Golden Domer 01. I'm going to answer this one. Would love to see John and Kelly fill out their college football playoff bracket. I will. It's going to be on splashsports.com/KellyInVegas. You can see it there when I win the whole damn thing. At TS.
So we're going to do hold on. We're going to do brackets. You've already done a bracket.
I don't want to do a bracket. That is the bracket. That's kind of like
That's the bracket.
It's like you got to fill out the bracket. I don't want to do a bracket.
No, we're not. You don't want to do a bracket. Do you think you're above? Like, are you above doing an NCAA basketball tournament bracket?
I'm just not a bracket girl. How about that?
Okay. So the answer to Golden Domer's question is no. Is that it's not really a question? It's more of a statement. Would love to see John and Kelly fill out a bracket, and Kelly just says no.
All right. At TS Finky on X says, do college QBs move the number as much as NFL QBs? Lots of opt-outs in college bowls. Numbers are moving already.
I think it's too vague of a question because it depends too much on the exact player, the starter, and the backup. I mean, if we're saying this college quarterback, does he move the number as much as Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Well, then of course he does not. But then in some cases, there are NFL teams like Kelly's guy, Will Levis, who's meaningless to the point spread.
Right.
It means more who the player is.
So let's go back to college, where the drop-off maybe is more significant. You just mentioned Shedeur Sanders. Why would he play in the Alamo Bowl? So let's use a specific example. If Shedeur is not playing for Colorado, we are going to see a move as significant as if a Josh Allen were out.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say, and I'll take it even a step further, even though it's not really part of this guy's question. If Shedeur doesn't play, that means Travis Hunter's not playing, right? That means they're not one of them is not going to play without the other. So that means they're pulling back, and then the number would move a ton. So Kelly's right. I mean, again, it's just about the player himself. How good is he? How good is his backup? I don't see that. I don't think there'd be a big line move if Texas did bench Ewers for Arch Manning. Maybe I'm missing something. I really like Arch Manning.
Well, the little I've seen enough, but I've seen enough from Quinn that I've had enough of betting on him. So I would rather take my chances.
You know what my new wild NFL theory is? I don't think it's impossible that Bryce Young will end up being better than CJ Stroud. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot out of Bryce Young. I know he's too small, but I've seen a lot out of him lately. Like, wow, this kid can really make some plays. And that guy calling the plays now in Carolina is good. Dave Canales, he does a good job. And that I like Bryce Young. I like what I'm seeing out of that.
Well, I think that's the makings of a really good play caller, and that's my beef with Kansas State this year. The play calling was horrific. Mm-hmm. You've got a good play caller can plug and play whatever with each quarterback that may be at your disposal. And I think you're absolutely right. I think I like the Panthers this weekend. I'm not sure I want to lay 2.5 with them against the Cowboys, but I'm not taking the Cowboys. I'll say that. I think Bryce Young is, since his benching and
Carolina
coming back.
They gave Philadelphia all they could handle. And I watched, unfortunately, I've had to watch a lot of them lately because we've been needing them. He led a touchdown drive to take the lead against Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. Yep. His defense gave up the game the other way. And he made some plays against a really good Philadelphia defense. The Eagles defense is really good. And he made a bunch of plays against those guys too. I think that could be a new segment, Murray's Musings, where I make some outlandish remark and then everyone tells me how stupid it is. And keep an eye on Bryce Young. I'm telling you, there's a chance he'll be better than Stroud.
All right, last question. Vincent PGH, I'll be in Vegas for Super Bowl weekend with some friends, and we're looking for a new steakhouse to try. Do you have any recommendations? So this is where it gets hard because I don't know which steakhouses you've been to. Does he mean new for him, or does he mean new like it just opened up?
I took Mom to Peter Luger's. You know, Mom came out over Thanksgiving. We went to Peter Luger's. We had the ribeye for $2. It's freaking great, man. It was fantastic.
It's very vibey in there as well.
It was good. I mean, I think the steakhouse here does a great job. Edge Steakhouse.
I love Edge.
There's actually a very famous radio guy who's going to dinner there tonight. I'm not gonna dox him. You know, I'm not gonna name names, but I was just talking with him. Very famous sports betting media guy going there tonight. Edge is very good. I like Golden Steer, which is over on Sahara. I'm a big fan of Golden Steer. Kelly, do you want to give
I like Golden Steer. You know, one that I was told was going to be so great that wasn't was Circus Circus. My dad and I went one year during the rodeo, and I was like, "What?
Really? You didn't think
also
so?
it's inside the Circus Circus, so you got to have your head on a swivel." Look,
no comment.
we all
But
know my favorite chef in town, Chef Barry. He's downtown. His restaurant is excellent. If you're looking for off the strip, I love Herbs and Rye. And their other restaurant is called Cleaver. You can also get steaks there. I mean, let's put it this way. It's very hard to have a bad steakhouse in Vegas because if you're not good, you die really quickly.
You know, it's not necessarily a steakhouse, but I love having dinner at Carson Kitchen. You're speaking of downtown. Ooh. Carson Kitchen is awesome.
I haven't been there in a long time.
Just everything there is really good. And they have steak, but it's not, you wouldn't call it a steakhouse. But it's very, very good. Kelly, we're going to do a show a week from today, which is the 19th. You are asking to take Christmas week off because your celebrity status, you feel like you shouldn't have to do a show that week. Is that fair?
So here's what I'm doing with everybody else. We are doing shows Monday and Tuesday. I would like to have, well, obviously Christmas off, Thursday off, so I can spend time with my dad, Friday off, and then I got to go back to work Saturday and Sunday. So if you would like to do a show Monday or Tuesday and I can accommodate your schedule, then I would love to do a show with you.
You know what? I mean, obviously I'm teasing Kelly, but I feel like when we do the shows on Monday or Tuesday, it's just so early in the week. You know, I don't really see much benefit to doing that. I think maybe we take the week off, we regroup, collect ourselves. Kelly deserves it. Kelly's worked so hard. I feel like you've been like real stressed this season. You know?
Here's the problem. I'm not very good at saying no. So I've said yes to a lot of things that I probably don't have enough time for. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shows today. And I still have to get you a video for Florida and the Ravens. And I still got to talk about odds logic on another video. That is a whole nother thing. Oh man, I got a lot to do. And then, then it's Thursday night football and I got to go to bed.
You know what? My advice to you, because you are an extremely hard worker, and obviously everybody knows I adore Kelly. What you should do is just hit 70% of your picks. Then you wouldn't have to worry about doing all these shows. Why didn't you think of that?
I told people for years, my goal is just to be a lifetime winning sports bettor so I don't have to work. Could you imagine me on a beach in El Salvador with some Bitcoin and some winning sports bets, and I'm just drinking out of a coconut every day?
It's such a tough game because last year I couldn't miss on the NFL, and Jay Cornegay couldn't miss on the NFL.
You and Jay, you guys crushed last year.
Oh my God! So Jay and I teamed up, and I'm not blaming Pam. But Pam, Jay's wife, said you guys should team up and do the circuit contest together because last year we both did awesome. The year before I finished in the money in Circa, got a little check out of Derek. So I was like, yeah, okay. I remember I saw Pam in August at the Las Vegas Country Club, and I said to her, I was like, we're going to do really bad this year, right? Because it's all been built up, and we are so bad.
We're so bad. Worse. I don't think it could be any worse. We thought we were going to get. Are you guys going to get the booby prize? What's your team name?
No, we're not.
What's your team name? Just for fun, John Murray.
It's the boys.
So you guys aren't going to get the booby prize.
No, we're not. We didn't do bad enough to get the booby prize, but we can't. But I can't pick a winner this year in the NFL, and Jay hasn't been on his A game either. It's been a tough year. But that's why this stuff's hard, man. That's why people need to be. That's why people need to be a little more cautious with the way they proceed. This is not easy to do. It's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah,
it's okay. We'll get them next year.
I gotta see who's worse now because that's gonna be. I don't know. We're so my bad. Friend Joe that you've met, Brett, me, and CT. And it's like Saturday morning, me going, all right, give me your pick. Like, that's how bad we are. I have to like yank picks from like out of thin air. And I'm like, all right. And then it'll be like, CT will be like, I like the Eagles. And then 3 hours later, I'm like, guys, we have 30 minutes for our picks at the end. Brett will text Steelers. And I'm like, okay. Dude, is anybody, the wheels have fallen so completely off the wagon. That's how much they don't care, because that's how bad our picks have been.
Well, this has nothing to do with Jay, because I've done partnered groups with so many different people over the years, but the only time I've ever got any checks, whether it was from the Leroy's for the college contest or Circa for the NFL contest, was when I did it by myself. And it's not because I'm smarter than everybody else. It's just when you have partners, there's all these different voices and you start to second guess yourself, and then their mistakes are made. Your best chance is to just do it yourself and trust yourself, I think.
So there's a bunch of different the boys back east.
No, it's just the boys with a Z, because I think the boys with an S was taken.
So creative.
Yeah, because I think the S was taken. I'm pretty sure.
The boys with the Z.
That's what the young man told me at the Tuscany when I signed up. Very nice.
Hold on. Let's see if I can find us. Negative Vibes Only is ours, and there's two.
We're
negative vibes.
Chats are so negative, man.
They are really bad.
I know.
We are 32-38 on the season.
I bet you that's like right by us. I bet you like we're like a game or two ahead of that. We're so bad. And you know, Jay last year, if he'd been in the Super Contest, he would have won it.
Yeah, which is crazy.
I know. It's a tough bracket, man.
I cannot find you guys to see if you guys are any better
Trust
than
me,
us.
we're doing bad. All right, can we leave it at that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. Like, this partnership thing it's for the birds. Next year we should all do our own Survivor too, and then link up, like, so we have 3 or 4 entries that are, making it to Thanksgiving or something.
I like it.